Now that we've passed Thanksgiving in America, I think it's safe to say that it is now Christmas time! And to celebrate, I'm back with another round of Nostalgia Talk Christmas Bonus. In 2021, I had the idea to look back on some nostalgic Christmas productions, whether it's movies, TV episodes, or specials. But I wanted to focus on ones that some people might not know about. There's a lot you can say about Elf, Home Alone, and The Grinch because those ones are so classic. So every year, I think about a few nostalgic Christmas productions that might be more obscure to some of us, and this year I'm kicking it off with the Muppets Christmas special, Letters to Santa. This special aired on NBC in 2008 and was a part of Disney's relaunch of the Muppets franchise. Over the years since the popularity of the Muppet Show back in the 1970s and 80s, there are a lot of Muppet characters who have remained popular, but some who have kind of faded into obscurity. This special brought back a few of the classic Muppet characters. But over the years, some Muppet performers have retired or passed away, with a few of their characters going through many different performers. In this special, some of the Muppets semi-regulars officially have new consistent performers. I talked about Jim Henson and Richard Hunt in my retrospective on the Muppet Christmas Carol last year, as that film was released after both of them had died, and only a few of their characters kept their, at the time, new performers after that movie. Steve Whitmire continues to perform Kermit the Frog from Jim Henson, and Beaker from Richard Hunt, with Jim's characters of Rolf the Dog, Dr. Teeth, and the Swedish Chef being taken over by Bill Beretta, and Dave Goelz continuing to perform Waldorf. Apart from Beaker, Richard's characters of Scooter and Janice have been taken over by David Rudman. Frank Oz had retired from performing with the Muppets at this point, and his characters of Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, Animal, and Sam the Eagle were taken over by Eric Jacobson. Jerry Nelson was still alive at the time of this special, but he as well had retired from performing with the Muppets. He previously took over Statler from Richard Hunt, a role that was later inherited by Steve Whitmire. Other Jerry characters, such as Floyd Pepper, Robin the Frog, Lou Zealand, Camilla the Chicken, and Crazy Harry, had been taken over by Matt Vogel. I like how the opening credits actually featured the name of the Muppet performers. People often don't realize what magic these incredibly talented people put into these wonderful characters. I've seen these performers work before, and there's something really magical about it. So now that many of the classic Muppets have now been re-established as regulars in the hands of new performers, it's time to once again play the music, it's time to light the lights, and it's time to meet the Muppets for a Nostalgia Talk Christmas bonus. Now let's begin. The special begins on a Christmas Eve in New York City, where Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, Rizzo, Pepe, and Camilla are all in line at the post office, waiting to deliver the last of their mail. Kermit's a bit disappointed that there isn't any snow on Christmas Eve, but Miss Piggy reminds him that even without snow, they're still going to be having a white Christmas, on the beaches of the Caribbean. Kermit doesn't look very much like he's interested in that. Miss Piggy grows very impatient waiting for the line to move, even wanting to talk to the mayor about it. And as luck would have it, Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City at the time, is right in front of them. Miss Piggy demands that Mayor Bloomberg take her to the front of the line, but the mayor refuses, stating that New Yorkers are known for being polite. While Miss Piggy still isn't pleased with having to wait in line, Kermit looks at the positive side of things. This will be the first Christmas that the Muppet Gang has ever spent apart, so Kermit's happy to be in a line with his friends for as long as they can be together, especially with the end of the year coming up, leading to the first musical number. Finally, as the rest of the Muppets join Kermit in the opening number, Delivering Christmas, the line moves and the Muppet Gang make their way inside of the post office, even helping out with the postal staff, consisting of rats, chickens, monkeys, and monsters, including Sweetums. Okay, so, first musical number, right off the bat. As I was watching this to write what I was going to say about the special, I couldn't help but just smile and sing along. And it's so nice that the Muppet Gang offered to help out at the post office. As we all know, Christmas is probably the busiest time of the year, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, especially on Christmas Eve. And the gang is willing to stop what they're doing and help out the workers at the post office, and also deliver letters to Santa. And not just from them, but Fozzie and Gonzo also point out that they're mailing letters to Santa from their friends. Just think about how happy their friends must feel. It's really heartwarming. When Fozzie and Gonzo give the postal staff the letters for Santa, Pepe the King Prawn intervenes that he doesn't believe in Santa Claus. Pepe says to Kermit, "If you believe in Santa, then I believe that," and Rizzo interrupts him, "that you're out of your mind!" I see that Rizzo still retains his smartassiness from Muppet Christmas Carol. As the delivery and song continues, Miss Piggy just wants to finish so that she and Kermit don't miss their flight to the Caribbean. Gonzo notices a valve that changes the speed of the conveyor belts at the post office, and it is currently set between fast and medium, with one on the bottom saying, "Don't even think of touching this." Gonzo sets it to too fast and the delivery and song get faster. It goes so fast that Kermit's scarf gets stuck on a conveyor belt, and the Muppets grab onto him to try to release him, but they all go through together. Gonzo just does it for fun. After the Muppets fall out of the chute and into the bin with all of the mail, Kermit asks the postal worker if he needs help cleaning up, and the worker responds, Yeah, and I know just where to start. A truck from the post office throws a mailbag with the Muppets inside of it onto the street in front of Statler and Waldorf. Hey, look what the postman just dropped off! Return to sender! So, is this supposed to be where the Muppets live? As the Muppets return home, a little girl named Claire, played by Madison Pettis from Cory in the House, The Game Plan, and Life with Boys, greets the gang and asks Gonzo if they mailed her letter to Santa. Claire's mom, played by Jane Krakowski from 30 Rock and Ally McBeal, shows the gang an inflatable Santa that she found and asks if any of the Muppets can help her blow it up. And who should volunteer for that but Crazy Harry? Did somebody say blow it up?! Claire invites the Muppets over for Christmas dinner, but unfortunately they're all going away on vacation. This makes Claire sad as many of her friends are away for Christmas as Claire and Gonzo part ways. Claire's mom assures her that even with none of her friends around, the two of them will be together, which she hopes will make up for that, and the two head off to inflate the Santa. Without Crazy Harry. Immediately after, Gonzo notices a few letters to Santa that he accidentally brought with him after what happened at the post office. One of them is Claire's letter, so Fozzie Bear and Gonzo head back to the post office to mail them. But since it's Christmas Eve, the post office has closed early. Gonzo worries that the letters will never reach Santa, and realizing that, Fozzie and Gonzo come up with the idea to open the letters to see what the kids wished for. But before they can do that, they get stopped by Sam the Eagle, who informs them and the viewer that it is illegal to open mail that is not one's own. After Sam's little speech, Fozzie also realizes that if Santa knew that the gang read his mail, they could be put on the naughty list. But what do? The Muppets try to figure out how to get the letters to Santa, and Pepe just brushes it off. He very sarcastically suggests emailing Santa, but Dr. Bunsen Honeydew confirms that due to the interference of the Northern Lights, Santa doesn't have internet access. Luckily, Bunsen and Beaker at Muppet Labs have a solution to the gang's problem. They have invented the Wish Granter 3000, which Beaker presents by wearing it on his head. To show the gang how it works, he makes a wish, and Czech supermodel Petra Nemkova suddenly appears. Beaker falls in love with Petra as she imitates the way that he talks, going me 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 me. But Bunsen has Beaker wish to send her back home. She doesn't seem to want to go back, so Beaker wishes to go back with her. Just then, Miss Piggy arrives all set for her vacation with Kermit. But Kermit decides not to give up on getting the letters to Santa, making Piggy angry. But even so, the gang decides not to give up, and Gonzo takes Kermit and Fozzie to UPS, United Pigeon Service, headquartered at the top of a very tall New York building. Gonzo tells one of the pigeons working for the company that the letters are going to the North Pole, and the pigeon insists that he can get it there. His wife, on the other hand, is concerned about the cold weather, annoying their kid with their arguing. Realizing that they made a mistake, the Muppets take off. Rizzo and Pepe form their own team in this operation and head to an Italian restaurant to meet up with somebody who can, as Pepe puts it, make the Santa problems go away. Pepe heads over to meet Sopranos star Tony Sirico and Steve Shrippa. Fun fact, a year before this, both of them were in the Sesame Street Christmas special Elmo's Christmas Countdown, imitating Ernie and Bert. It was kind of funny, actually, to hear Bert and Ernie with typical New York accents, like, Hey Ernie, what the heck are you doing with a gingerbread man in your ear? There's a gingerbread man in my ear? Anyway, once Tony and Steve notice Pepe, Steve says, It's that annoying shrimp that called us earlier. Pepe corrects him that he is actually a prawn, much to Tony's annoyance. Are you correcting my friend? After that gets cleared, Steve informs Pepe that he and Tony made a few calls and can get the letters to Santa sent to the North Pole in time. Would I joke about letters to Santa Claus? I ain't getting on no naughty list. Tony promises to take care of the situation as long as Pepe promises to keep it between them. Rizzo answers for Pepe that their secret is safe with them, and as soon as Tony and Steve notice them, the deal is off. Tony says, We better not see the two of you around here again, or you'll be sleeping with the fishes. You'd think Pepe would be used to it being a king prawn. Steve calms Tony down as the Swedish chef brings them their meal, a fish pizza, which according to the chef is a Swedish delicacy. But Tony says, Italian restaurant, Italian food! Over at the Muppets' apartment, I guess, Scooter starts a website for viewers to post suggestions on how to deliver the letters to Santa before he leaves. Floyd asks if anybody has signed in, but Scooter says that they haven't gotten a single hit yet. Then Animal comes by with their first, using a baseball bat. And now the gang doesn't have any ideas, but Rizzo comes up with one. Eat! I'm with you on that one, Rizzo. Gonzo then comes up with a more helpful idea. Go to the North Pole and deliver the letters themselves. The gang's a bit skeptical about this, and Gonzo reminds Kermit that he said that he would do anything to help the kids who wrote the letters. And Miss Piggy reminds Kermit that he also said they were going to be going to the Caribbean for Christmas. But Piggy encourages Kermit to go to the North Pole if he feels that that's what he needs to do, while also telling him not to come back as she's still mad that he left her for their trip, so Piggy goes off by herself. The Electric Mayhem also takes off for their own vacation, wanting to get away from the cold weather. Pepe says, "We would love to go to the North Pole and see the Santa Claus." And Rizzo interrupts him again and says, "But our flying unicorns are still in the shop." And they take off too. But Gonzo is still determined to get the letters delivered to Santa, and through song, he talks Kermit and Fozzie into going to the North Pole. Rizzo and Pepe watch them sing, and still skeptical about Santa Claus, they tag along, mostly to watch the Muppets make a fool of themselves. While still singing, the gang takes a taxi to the airport. The cab driver, played by Whoopi Goldberg, stops the song so that they can pay for the drive, and the gang checks their pockets to see if they have enough for it. I'm just going to assume that they do, because in the next scene, the Muppets make it to the airport and try to find an airline that flies to the North Pole. Of course, Pepe and Rizzo are very skeptical about it until they find North Pole Airlines. "You got to be kidding me, okay?" When they make it to the counter, they are greeted by ticket agent Joy, played by Uma Thurman. Kermit asks Joy if the gang can get on the next and only flight headed to the North Pole, and Joy tells them that they can, but they'll have to be fast. So Joy prints out their tickets, made out to Kermit the Frog and friends. The gang hurries off, but Pepe is so smitten by Joy that he just stares at her. So Fozzie carries him over as the gang makes it to security. The funniest joke in this whole special is when they're at security and Pepe is placing all of his electronic devices in the bin. Now this was in the 2000s, so he has a BlackBerry cell phone, as well as a Blueberry, Raspberry, and a picture of Halle Berry. And as we saw earlier when the gang got stuck on the conveyor belt in the post office, Gonzo enjoys going through these things and puts himself with his personal belongings as they go through the scanner. Gonzo tells the security officer that he hasn't been to the doctor in a while, and asks if he saw anything weird as he was going through the scanner. The gang gets noticed by security officer Frank Meany, played by the always hilarious Nathan Lane, and he finds the gang suspicious, and after Fozzie tells the gang a Christmas joke, an alarm sounds, and the gang is taken to the interrogation room by security and Frank's assistant Bobo for telling bad jokes in an airport security. Meanwhile, a group of rats are caroling outside of the Muppets' apartment, as Statler and Waldorf watch and, like always, heckle. "You should sing Silent Night! Not the song, just stay silent all night!" Back at airport security, Frank asks the Muppet gang what their plans were. Kermit answers honestly, but Frank brushes it off. However, Bobo reminds Frank that he wrote a letter to Santa Claus. Frank confirms that Bobo is telling the truth, but that was when he was a child. He tells the Muppets that he wrote to Santa asking for a tricycle with red ribbons and a silver bell. But on Christmas morning, Frank didn't get his wish due to him being on the naughty list for his constant bullying, telling Pepe, "I picked on little shrimps like you!" And Pepe again corrects him that he's a king prawn. Frank starts to get emotional as he looks back on how he feels as though he hasn't changed much since his childhood. But Kermit believes that Frank can indeed change by doing something nice. So Frank thinks it over and lets the gang go so that they can deliver the letters to Santa. Frank says, "I want to see all of you on that plane!" Bobo follows after the gang after Frank's orders, see all of you on the plane, but Frank tells Bobo to stay. The group makes it to the gate and reunite with Joy, who informs them that the plane has left the gate. But they can still get on. On the wings, that is. Look at all the penguins on the plane, they're probably like, what the hell? Finally, the gang lands in the North Pole. They do, the plane doesn't. And as luck would have it, they can see Santa's workshop right from where they are. "Santa has a pretty big house, okay?" The gang knocks on the door and it gets answered by Santa's chief elf, played by Paul Williams, the songwriter for this special. This special is one of Paul's many contributions to the Muppets, which began when he was a guest on The Muppet Show, and then it continued with him writing songs for The Muppet Movie, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and The Muppet Christmas Carol, including Kermit's signature song, Rainbow Connection. It's no secret that Paul's songs for the Muppets are just so joyous. There's something about the music in the project that he did for the Muppets that always puts a smile on my face. And with this one especially, because all of the songs are more so connected to the plot. Fozzie explains their situation to the chief elf, and he says that they would have saved a lot of time if they went to the post office. Kermit asks if they could speak with Santa, and the elf says, "Yes, you could, if he was here." But unfortunately, he had already taken off. So yeah, a dead end. Gonzo feels bad about not getting the letters delivered, especially since he promised Claire that he would mail hers, and to try to make himself feel better, he sings a song to himself about what he would do if he were Santa Claus. Fozzie joins him later in the song, and the two sing about how they would be more giving to others and spread joy, rather than looking like Santa to do so. I have to say, A+ to Paul Williams. As the song ends, the Muppet Gang notices some magic dust falling from the sky. Not snow, but kind of like sparkling stars. Fozzie believes that perhaps Santa heard the song, and just as Pepe brushes it off, they hear a familiar, "Ho, ho, ho!" Fozzie's theory was right. Santa, played by Harry Potter actor Richard Griffiths, heard their song and knew that their Christmas wish had to come true. Fozzie asks Santa if there is still time to deliver the letters, and Santa accepts them and invites the gang onto his sleigh, assisted by his flight attendant, Joy. As soon as the Muppets see her, they yell, "Oh, Joy!" And Pepe says, "Oh, rapture!" And he faints. But Gonzo picks him up as he and the rest of the Muppets board the sleigh. I hope that the back of the sleigh isn't too uncomfortable for Joy. As the Muppets and Santa take off, Santa prepares to read the first of the 3 letters, but Pepe stops him and admits that the letter was from him, and was only pretending not to believe in Santa to, as Pepe puts it, act macho, hey. But he actually is really sensitive. But Santa knows that about Pepe, and without reading the letter, he grants Pepe's Christmas wish to be an opera singer. Just as Pepe begins to enjoy being able to sing opera so well, Santa asks Kermit to read the second letter, and as it turns out, it was from Frank Meany, the security officer at the airport, asking Santa to take him off the naughty list. Kermit tells Santa that Frank turned out to be a nice guy after all, so wish granted. At the airport security, Frank finally gets what he wanted for Christmas as a child, a tricycle with red ribbons and a silver bell. That'd be something cool to drive around the airport with. Back on the sleigh, Santa and the gang read Claire's letter. But instead of asking for a present from Santa, she wrote to him feeling sad about all her friends going away for Christmas, and all she wants is just to be happy. Touched by her letter, Santa tells the Muppet gang that they can grant Claire's wish themselves, and the gang agrees. Santa drops the Muppets off at their apartment, and across the hall at Claire's, she is surprised to see that the Muppet gang have decided not to go away and spend Christmas with her. Claire's mom is also surprised, but in a different way, to see all of Claire's friends outside of the apartment. But she lets them in and everyone starts their Christmas, bringing in a tree, decorations, snacks, a turkey, much to the dismay of a Muppet turkey, but according to the Swedish chef, that turkey was a tofu turkey, and even fish, courtesy of New Zealand. Fish would be an interesting thing to have for a Christmas dinner. I can't say I've ever had that before. Even Miss Piggy decides to cancel her trip to the Caribbean and spend Christmas with everyone. And the Electric Mayhem even comes back to spend the holidays with their friends. Zoot wishes Kermit a happy Hanukkah. And with everyone now spending Christmas together, the special wraps with a group song about how happy everyone is that it all worked out for the best. This is one of my favorite Muppet Christmas specials because of its message. Although, I'm gonna be honest, my favorite Muppet Christmas special ever is Muppet Family Christmas because of the great mix of Jim Henson's creations, but with Letters to Santa, we learn about spreading joy and kindness to others. We see that with the Muppet Gang right at the start when they help out at the post office, when they start to figure out how they're going to deliver the misplaced letters, seeing the best in the tough-looking security officer, and deciding to forego their vacation plans to be with their friends. Through their Christmas spirit, they manage to get others to feel it. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about the Muppets Christmas special Letters to Santa, and I've got 4 more Nostalgia Talk Christmas bonus videos coming out through the next few weeks. And in the meantime, I hope you guys are having a great start to your holiday season. See you later.